Get ready with me while I tell you about how my ex ruined my senior prom. Okay, messy bun just while we get ready. Anyway, so the year is 2023. I'm dating my boyfriend at the time. We're like, obviously we're going to prom together. And he actually asked me in a really cute way. He asked me on Minecraft. Flash forward, it's April. The day of prom rolls around and I get ready. I'm wearing my dress that my mom bought me. And we go to prom. And you know, prom was okay. It wasn't like super fun. But that was just the beginning. When prom ended, that's when my night from hell started. So we leave my prom and there's talk about after parties. And we were gonna go to one after party, but for some reason, I don't remember what happened, but we ended up not going. And then there was another after party and he wanted to go to that one, but I was like, oh, I don't really like the girls who are hosting that. Also, he didn't go to my school, so like he didn't know these girls, but I was just like, I don't really like them, so I don't really want to go to their party. And immediately after I said that, his whole mood shifted. Like, he was huffing and puffing the whole car ride back to my house. Like, he went quiet, he had an attitude, and I was like, you know what, I could tell you really want to go, so let's just go, it's fine. And he was like, no, I don't want to go, and I'm like, okay, fine. So we just go back to my house. So when we get back to my house, I'm like, oh, we never finished that TikTok transition, like, can we do that? And he's like, yeah, we can. And so I pull out my phone. We were making the TikTok and he looks miserable. Like, I'm telling you, he looks like he hates me. You wouldn't know that this man is my boyfriend. You would have thought like I just picked him up from the street, killed his dog. Point of it being, he did not look happy to be in that TikTok. So at this point, I'm like, oh, never mind. We're not making this TikTok because you're not going to embarrass me like that. Like, and now he's catching an attitude with me. He's like, no, let's make the TikTok. Like, we're making the TikTok. And at this point, I'm irritated. So I'm like, no, I don't want to make this TikTok with you anymore. So I walk away. And I'm like, I'm going to go change. Because at this point, I'm still wearing my dress. My $500 dress. This is important for later. He gets threatening. If you don't make this TikTok with me, if you go change out of that dress, we're done. I'm leaving. I'm like, damn. I don't know if I mentioned this, but just for context, me and him were very toxic at this point. Like, we were always threatening breaking up. Like, we were damn near verbally abusive to each other. I will say to each other, like, it was a two-way thing. Can't lie. But we were very toxic. So this whole threatening to break up thing wasn't really new, but, you know, still kind of crazy. So I go, I change out of my dress, and I hang up my dress on a hanger downstairs. And we're downstairs. So now we're going back and forth. We're arguing at each other. We're kind of yelling at each other, but my parents are upstairs. So I'm like, you need to chill. We can argue. We can go back and forth. We can tussle, but don't you dare wake up my parents. In the midst of this, my dress falls off the hanger and falls onto the ground. And he like brushed it. So I'm like, that's your fault. Go pick up my dress. So I'm yelling at him. I'm like, go pick up my shit. Go pick up my dress. You need to pick that up now. Like, and he's like, no, I'm not going to pick it up. And I'm like, you need to pick up my dress. Like, I'm yelling at him. I'm like, pick up my dress. Pick up my damn dress. And so this man, mind you, he has his shoes on. Again, first of all, I don't even know why he has his shoes on. Like, in my house, I was raised with an Asian mother. Your shoes come off at the door in the basement. You don't come into my house with your shoes on, and he knows this because he's been in my house numerous of times. So he walks over to my dress. I'm going to insert a picture of my dress. This is my dress. My white $500 dress that my parents bought for me so I could be happy. He walks over to my dress with his shoes on, and he walks all over my dress. He's stomping on my dress. Oh my God, when I tell you I almost put my hands on this man. Like, that was just so disrespectful to me, to my parents. So I'm like, what the f is your problem? So I'm like, you need to get the F out of my house. Leave right now. I never want to see you again. So I kick him out. I'm shoving him. I'm pushing him out my front door. And he leaves. Or so I thought. So he bought me flowers for prom. And it was actually a really nice bouquet. I really loved it. And so I walked to my kitchen and I grabbed the flowers and I'm about to go throw them outside because that's how fed up and done I am. And when I go to open my front door, he's still there. He walks back into my house and he grabs me. He goes, you're not breaking up with me. You can't leave me. I know what you're thinking. Go upstairs, go get your parents, go do something about this. Don't take this. And when he said that, I was like, okay. And Anyways, yeah, we didn't break up for another 4 months after that, after I got to college. There's no more bad blood between me and my ex. It's just a story time, just content. We haven't spoke in maybe 2 years-ish. We're cordial and as removed from each other's life as we could be. That's the whole story, but I have lots of other crazy ex story times, so if you want them, I'll post them. Bye.
Hi, I'm Ripley. I'm 22. I'm an alcoholic. I've been sober from alcohol for 2 years. Got my chip yesterday. A cake to celebrate. Just kidding. I just still have sugar cravings 2 years later. Anywho, I know it's prom season and I wanted to give you the wonderful, terrifying story of my senior year prom. Let's dig in. Allow me to set the scene here, okay? It's April of my senior year of high school. I had just committed to the University of Arizona. I ended up transferring out of there, go to see Boulder now. Anyway, unimportant. Senior year of high school, everyone started hanging out with each other. Everyone's friend groups kind of merged. And that semester, we would have a party at someone's house every single weekend, if not twice a weekend, and everyone would just get drunk. A lot of our parents really didn't care. They knew we were doing it as long as we were safe. They were like, whatever, it's fine. My parents included on that too. Early in the semester, I'd been talking to my physics partner that I was paired up with in assigned seating, and a couple days before my birthday, he asked me to be his girlfriend. And I thought that I liked him at that point, gave it about a month, and then I realized that I really wasn't as into it as I thought I was, and literally nothing physical ever happened between us, which if you know me, that's weird. That's just a big part of relationships for me. That was really weird. So we're on month 1 of this relationship officially, okay, by the time this story happens. And if you've seen my graduation party story, this is the same boyfriend. Now that I've set the stage for you, it's prom night. Game plan, my parents are gonna drive me to Wash Park, where everyone in the state of Colorado takes prom pictures at least once in their teenage years. It's a canon event, you cannot interfere. After this point, I will board the party bus with 70 of my closest friends, my boyfriend being my date. We're gonna go on this party bus to the Centennial Airport restaurant situation. It's a restaurant inside an airplane hangar. It's cool looking, I don't know. So we take pictures, all is well, we get on the party bus, we get to dinner. Dinner takes an hour to come out and we were all starving, okay? I'm pretty sure I started drinking at dinner. Can't really remember, to be completely honest with you, but we wrapped up dinner. The vibes were kind of off because everyone was low-key hangry and trying to recover and have a good time. Get back on the party bus, drive around for a couple hours. Everyone's drinking on the bus, having a great time, listening to some 2000s white girl beats on the amps in there. My drink of choice this evening, and most evenings in high school, was Fireball. Specifically in shooter form for this event. By the time the bus dropped us off at actual prom, I was so bombed, embarrassingly so. Don't know why I was allowed into the venue. However, my best friend and her boyfriend won Prom King and Queen. That was lit, epic, crazy movie. And then we were like, okay, let's go to after prom. After prom is this thing that my high school, and I think a lot of high schools do, where it's kind of like a lock-in situation to prevent kids from going out and drinking, but it's actually just kids sneaking alcohol into the school and drinking in the school. Anyway, they had a bunch of fair games and rides and shit set up in the school. It was awesome. Naturally, I decided I'm gonna pregame this hard as fuck. So the bus drops us back off at the high school. My boyfriend's car is parked at the high school. There, we change, regroup. I bring a bunch of shooters in with me. Once we get in, me and my friends are taking shooters in the bathroom. I'm the shooter girl. Everyone knows I have shooters, and they'll ask me to go to the bathroom and I'll go take a shooter with everybody. Not my best look upon reflection. I didn't know this was a detail of this story until 2 months ago when my mother and I were rehashing this story and it got brought up. So apparently there was an option where you could go call your parents and ask them to excuse you to leave early from this so you could get out of the lockout early. I did so. My mom said, absolutely the fuck not. You stay there. She knew I was drunk, so she was keep the danger in its cage. But somehow we just walked out the side door and nobody noticed. So we went back to my boyfriend's car, we being my boyfriend and I. He's it's 1 a.m., 2 a.m. I'm really tired. I'm going to take a nap because we had another party to go to starting at 3:30 in the morning. Me personally, I do not nap. Okay, when I was drinking, I would black out and pass out, but I do not consider that a nap. I consider that a blackout, pass out situation. For me, if I take a nap, say I accidentally fall asleep for an hour, I'm gonna be in the hospital the next day. Something's wrong with me, okay? So what did I decide to do while boyfriend's napping in the backseat of his car? Drink my whole 10-pack of Fireball shooters that I brought for myself. This was an additional set of fireball shooters to the ones that I had been drinking. Like, I had this for later in the night. So I slammed these shooters in the back of his car while he was asleep, and then he woke up eventually. He drove us to the function. We were at the function for like maybe an hour. Everyone was so bombed. Like, we were all like zombies. It was like 4:30 in the morning, and we were like, prom, let's go. At this point, it's like 4:30, 5 a.m. Me, my boyfriend, and my best friend all go to my best friend's house. Here, I grab a snack. My snack of choice, a can of fucking black beans. Heated up and seasoned. I took that shit in a bowl to go with me in my boyfriend's car when we left. And at this point, it's like 5 a.m. There's really nowhere to go. Neither one of us can like go home at this point. Like, we're both like a little bit drunk. Boyfriend was driving. I was definitely more drunk. We drive to Daniels Park. Now, if you're from Colorado, you understand this. But if you're not from Colorado, this is like the place you go to like park your car in high school, okay? So we parked the car and we're like, okay, we're gonna sleep here for a few hours until the sun rises and it's like a reasonable time to go home, and then we're just gonna go home. We end up sitting and talking in his car. I tried to break up with him. I really don't like remember much of this experience. It was pretty hazy, but somehow in this whole situation of me trying to break up with him, there were tears involved. I know that for sure. My black beans got spilled on my prom dress. Now, I had this like eggplant purple prom dress. It was so iconic. It sounds kind of weird, but like, just go to my Instagram. Like, it's good. But basically, like, when I tried to break up with him, he was like, no, you're drunk. Like, no. Which, like, valid. But then I did try to break up with him later, and that was a whole thing. If you've watched the grad party story, you know. Anywho, wake up, sun is shining, it's like 9:30 in the morning. I'm like, oh shit, like, I gotta get home. I'm hung as balls. Get me back to my house right now. My parents have cameras all over the house. I've been a delinquent, okay? They know that I've been like jumping out of windows and shit, sneaking out. Like, there's cameras everywhere. So when we pull back up into my driveway, my mom's on watch. She's been waiting for me to come home all night. She wants to hear the tea. Lauren wants to know what's up. He gets out of the car, starts yakking. I'm like rubbing his back. My mom thought I was breaking up with him and he was crying. I tried, Lauren, I tried. Anyway, we came inside, napped for like 30 minutes, and then he went home. And I took that black beaned purple prom dress and I shoved it in my closet, and it sat there for like probably 6 months. My mom found it when I was off at college my freshman year, and she called me and she was like, what? Did you throw up on your prom dress? And I was like, no, I ate beans in my prom dress. Not my finest showing as a human being, let me just say. Not a lot of cake was eaten during this. There's a lot of talking, but this is good cake. Anyway, if you have prom coming up, maybe don't do that.
I have the fakest friends in the entire world. 2 months ago, I had noticed that one of my friends, because we are a group of 3, we were a group of 4, something happened with the 4th one of them posts and they're hanging out after school. I had asked them that same day if they wanted to hang out after school. One of them were like, oh no, sorry, like, I gotta see what my family's doing. And the other one was like, oh no, sorry, like, I can't. I think I'm really tired. I'm just gonna go home and just sleep. And I was like, okay, no worries. They posted on their TikTok story of them hanging out at my best friend's house. She told me her parents doesn't like anybody coming to her house. So obviously I'm upset because you're lying to me back to back. Well, they lied to me again in the next couple of days. I was like, hey, like, we should hang out this weekend. Once again, same excuses. Sorry, I gotta see what my parents are doing, whatever. Me and my grandparents pull up. We're in the Mexican restaurant, okay? We sit down, everything's fine. I look over. They're sitting with a group of 3 girls that they talk horrible about to me, mind you. It's like, whatever. This is fun. I was like, okay, whatever. Then they start ignoring me at school. Well, then the next few days we have clubs, which is just like obviously a club, and it's just like a full day of it. I go in with one of our other friends that used to be in our friend group, but obviously something happened. I walk in with her. A few minutes later, the other friend walks in. She acts like she doesn't know me. Well, the friend I walked in with told me, she was like, hey, your best friend left early, and she told the other girl, and the other girl was like, oh, I'm not going to club then. They were like, bro, but then we have Jocelyn, like, what are we going to do about her, bruh? Making it seem like I was a burden. Well, anyway, one of the other girls walks in, and she decided to come to club. She goes and sits with this other group of girls, doesn't even acknowledge me. She acts like she doesn't know who I am. She had never done this before, okay? I was like, this is weird, what's going on? She had asked those girls to save her seat. She was not planning to sit with me at all. And before this, we had gotten in an argument, like me and the other two girls. It was them two and then me, and I felt secluded, and I told them that. The only one who apologized was one of them. The girl that ignored me didn't say a word to me. Well, then the girls that they start hanging out with start being really rude to me. Like, I would ask them a question in class, and they would be extremely rude. Like, I don't know what was up these girls' butts, but they hated me for some reason.
I was once dating this guy who sent me flowers every day for a week to my work, and then he ghosted me. So let's talk about this dating story. It's another dating story with me. I have several dating stories on my page. I've been through it all. You cannot make up this stuff. So if you want to have some stories to entertain you, come over to my page, check out my dating stories. Let me know your thoughts. So this guy I dated, it was about 10 years ago. So I was 28 and I was working at a chiropractor's office, and I got to meet lots of patients and different people all of the time. So one day this patient came in and I was setting him up on a decompression table, and we began talking, and he was from South Africa, so he had a really thick accent. So we began talking about where he was from, and it came up that I had lived in Israel and he had been to Israel, and so we had something in common, and it was interesting, and we just had a lot to talk about. So I stood there and talked to him for about half an hour, and it was so much fun. So we kind of connected and hit it off, and I didn't think anything of it, but he was actually friends with my boss at the time, the owner, the chiropractor, and he told my boss, he said that he was interested in me. And so he got my number. My boss asked me about it, and I said, sure, you can give him my number. And my boss was like, do you know who he is? And I was like, no. And he said, he is right under the level of a CEO for this huge company, and he is a multi-millionaire. And my boss was kind of saying this in a way of you don't even know, Katie, you're not good enough for this. And I was like, I don't care. I don't care about money. I don't care about status. I am more interested in character. And I really loved our conversation. And so I was like, sure, I'll give him my number. So he called me. We were talking for, a handful of times. And then he told me he had gotten out of an 18-year marriage the year before. And maybe it had been 2 years. I can't remember. He had 3 or 4 kids. And so I was going to be his very first date after his marriage. And he was so nervous. So he picked me up for a date, and I really wanted to make him comfortable. I didn't want to make him feel scared of dating, and I just wanted to put him at ease. And he was so nervous. He's like, ugh. And I was like, it's okay, don't worry. I'm so easygoing. I can get along with anybody. Don't worry, it's me. And so he took me to a restaurant, and we talked, and I did not know that he was 43. And I was 28. And so he was, what is that, 14? I think he was 12, 14, 14 years older than me, 14, 15 years older. And I said, you are 43? He didn't look it at all. And he's like, yeah. And I said, you scored. You're on a date with a 28-year-old. And he's like, that's my worst fear, is that you're way out of my league because I'm so much older. And I was like, no. I was like, it's okay. It's fine. Anyways, so we went out, and then we went out again. He took me on another date, a third date, a fourth date. I don't think we had ever kissed at that point. And, yeah, we had fun. And then on the 5th date, I think he took me to a ballet or something like that. And after the ballet, we went out. We were walking on State Street, Salt Lake City, Utah. We were on a corner, and there was this man playing a trumpet or something for money. And I said, do you want to dance on this street corner? And he's like, oh my gosh, you want to dance with me on this State Street? And I was like, yeah. I was always a hopeless romantic. So, used to be. Anyways, so we danced and it was fun and it was romantic, and he had said some things to me like, for your birthday, like, I want to take you to Paris. We could go on these big trips. Like, I want to take you on a helicopter ride. And I was kind of like, okay. And I was just, I don't know, I was just living my life. And I also, this is an important point to notice, I asked him one time why his marriage ended. And he said there was two things. Number one, his wife of 18 years said he was a pathological narcissist. And there was one other thing, and I cannot remember what it was, but I remember being like, that's a lot. And so anyways, fast forward, we go on that 5th date. He drives me home and he says, like, he's like, I want to date you. I really want to date you. Like, would you be my girlfriend? And right in that moment, I had this like thought flash through my head. I was like, hold on. He's like 15 years older. He got out of a marriage for being a pathological narcissist, and he has 4 kids. I was like, I have never been married. I hadn't had kids. I was like, I might be in over my head here. Hold on. And so I said to him, listen, you should probably go on a date with at least one other woman. Like, I'm the very first woman you've dated. Don't you want to see what's out there? Like, I just think it would be good. He's like, you're probably right, but I don't want to. I just want to date you. And and I was like, okay. I was like, but just try one. Like, I think it would be healthy. And he's like, okay. So that night, I go home, go to bed. I wake up the next day. He has started texting me at like 5 o'clock in the morning, hyperly. And he's like, Katie Jenner, he's like, you've awakened something within me. And he's like, I got on Bumble and I have 12 dates set up this week. 12 dates? That's not what I meant. I meant 1. I was like, just check it out and then come back to me. Not 12 in a week. He had 12 dates. He had breakfasts, lunches, dinners in a week lined up. And I was like, what the heck? And so then I go to work that day and he sends me flowers to work. And I was like, okay. And he put some quotes in it from my faith. And I was like, okay, it was really nice. But I was like, he told me about all these other dates he's going on. I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe, whatever. So the next day, go to work, same thing. I get another bundle of flowers with a quote from my faith. I'm like, oh my gosh, twice? And my boss is like, Katie. And I was like, burn on my boss, who didn't think I would be good enough for this man. And so the next day, same thing. Got flowers at work. And the next day, same thing. So pause and stay tuned for part 2. Come to my page, stay tuned for part 2. It gets interesting. Okay, so he was sending me these flowers every day, and he had set up 12 dates with 12 different women over the course of the next 5 days. And also sending me flowers every day. So it was like, okay, I guess. And so he decides to call me and update me about the dates. So the very first one was the very next day. And he sent me flowers to my work, but that evening he calls me and he says, I'm getting ready to go on the date with this woman from Bumble. And we're going to this restaurant, and he tells me a little bit about her, and I'm like, okay, have a good time, I guess. Whatever. I didn't need to know details. And so he goes on this date. He goes to the bathroom and calls me again. And he updates me. She's great. She's attractive. I'm having a great time. We are talking about this and this and this. He's like, I'm just so glad you told me to go on these dates. And I'm like, okay. I was like, well, good. I'm so happy for you, great. And then he calls me afterward on his way home from the date, and he tells me all about it. And he's like, but I don't know about this and that. And I'm like, okay, yeah, okay, I get it. So anyways, the next day I get more flowers. He starts updating me on the date the next day. And I tell him, I'm like, listen, I don't need updates on your dates. I told him, I said, listen, I don't need updates. you know, when I told you to go on a date with somebody else, I actually meant like, I was thinking like one person. I wasn't meaning like 12 or 15 in the next week. He's like, oh, I'm so sorry, but I'm just so excited. I'm having such a good time. And I was like, okay, do whatever you have to do and just let me know. So I go to work the very next day, more flowers. And then he sends me a text that night and I thank him for the flowers the next day. So this is the 5th day I get flowers from him at work. So they are sitting up on this desk at my work, okay? They're big. They were big bouquets of flowers. And I'm working on this patient. She's brand new. And I'm working on her. I'm working on her foot, doing this ultrasound, and I'm talking to her. And she was about my age. She was 29. And I knew her, or no, excuse me. I had only worked with her like 2 other times as a patient. And so she was my age, and like we had both talked about like our dating lives weren't great or whatever. And so I'm working on her foot, and she tells me, she says, I went on a date this weekend. And I said, oh, good. I was like, tell me about it. She's like, I really like this guy. He's so handsome. He took me to this nice restaurant. I was like, oh, I'm so happy for you. And she's like, going on, she's like, yeah, he's so handsome. He like, like we just hit it off. I feel like there's chemistry. And I was like, that's so awesome. And she's like, yeah, he drives this certain car. And all of a sudden I was like, huh, that's interesting. The guy I went out, have been going out with drives that car. And I'm thinking this. And then she starts talking about how charming he is. And I'm like, huh, the guy I've been going out with, he's sending me these flowers. He's also charming. And I'm like, huh, I guess there's some really cool guys out there. And then she says, he's from South Africa. So he has a South African accent. I was like, dun, dun, dun. I was like, hold on. And I said, is his name? And she goes, yeah, how did you know? And I said, okay. This is the guy I've been going out with. Remember the guy I told you about last time? This is him. See those flowers over there? He sent those to me, along with flowers every other day this week. She's like, no way. And she showed me a picture. I showed her a picture of him that I had. And we were like, what the heck? Is he a major player? And she was annoyed. She was like, wait a minute. As she should be annoyed. And I was annoyed. And I'm like, seriously? What is he doing? And so I don't remember. I ended up getting her number. I don't really remember what happened next. But I think she asked him about me. And he was like, oh, he didn't make a big deal out of it. And then I told him, I was like, listen, I may have sent him a text and I said something like, listen, this has gone so far out of control. I worked on one of your dates today. Like, you know what? Go have your fun with dating, whatever. And I never heard from him again, and that was it. But at least I got flowers for 5 days in a row, I guess. That was fun. But then he was gone. And last I heard a few years ago, about 2 years ago, I saw my old boss and I asked him, an update on his friend. So I asked him an update about this guy and I said, have you heard from him? How's he doing? He said he got engaged to this girl, but it didn't work out. And apparently he lost all of his money. He lost his job, something in the pandemic. And I felt really bad for him. I was like, I'm so sorry. But, that's why you cannot, first of all, number one, you cannot go out with a man because of his money or status. Those things come and go. Number two, you can't fall for a guy too fast. Because, like, if I had fallen for him and say I became his girlfriend, who knows what he was capable of? Like, who knows? Like, I didn't know him, And so I was kind of glad I didn't dive in with him, but I also was a little sad as time went on. I was like, dang, I really enjoyed talking to him and it was fun. And yeah, I don't know. And he also gave me some other gifts. He gave me this really cool, like, Bluetooth speaker that his company created. And I have it to this day, and that was nice. He also gave me an iPhone. That was also nice. So at least I got something. But anyways, good luck to him wherever he is, whoever he's with. I never talked to him again. Never knew what happened. I mean, besides what my boss told me, but that is another dating story with me. We'll call him Mr. Multi-millionaire. Not anymore, I guess. But if you want to find and hear some of my interesting dating stories, come to my page. I swear to you, you cannot make this up. I was just a normal girl, wanted to find my person like everybody else. And it was a rough time. It was a really rough time. I don't know why, but it was rough. I have some suspicions as to why it's been so rough, but I don't really fully know. So anyways, stay tuned. I'm 38. I have never been married. I don't have children, and I've never even lived with a man. And so I am sharing my dating stories because we may as well get some entertainment out of it. Maybe it'll turn into something. I don't know, but there you go. I'm turning 39 in 2 weeks. Wish me luck. I'm hoping that 39 brings something magical, and maybe my happily ever after was falling in love with myself in my life. So I'm open to that as well. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.
Get ready with me while I explain how my boyfriend and I got together. I was in a long-term relationship pre-meeting my boyfriend with an amazing guy, but just not my person. That was a tough lesson to learn. I was in a relationship and my boyfriend was also in a relationship. So long story short, my brother is best friends with my boyfriend. And I was away in San Diego for 7 years. So I knew a lot of my brother's friends, but I never got to know this friend in particular. And my boyfriend's younger than my brother, and my brother's younger than me. Our paths never crossed. I first met him on a Havasu trip a long time ago. Obviously I had a boyfriend. I never thought anything of him other than he was nice, he was sweet, fun to be around. He also had a girlfriend. So he had the same feelings, nice, fun to be around, but neither of us ever thought anything of one another because we were in other relationships. And independently of one another, and unbeknownst to me, he ended his relationship. I also ended mine. Crazy story. The day that I decided we should break up is actually the same day that my current boyfriend and his ex-girlfriend broke up. So kind of crazy, God, obviously neither of us knew this because we were not in communication. I didn't know him at all. I was spending a lot of time with my brother because my brother's one of my closest, honestly, he's one of my closest friends. He is dating and best friends for 10 plus years with my boyfriend's sister. So some people have their opinions on that, but honestly, it's the most fun thing. Christmas is so fun. Family vacations are so fun because it's just really easy. We're all really good friends. I was spending a lot of time with my brother. He was spending a lot of time with his now girlfriend, who is siblings with my boyfriend. And so I kept on seeing Dean, my boyfriend, around, and we were at the same things. And his sister kept on dropping little hints. She's like, oh my God, Dean just said to me, what if me and Ryan dated and you and Dylan were dating? How funny would that be as siblings dating siblings? And I was like, oh my God. And then I ended up going to dinner with Peyton, his sister, and we were with her dad, so Dean's dad as well. His name's Ken, and Ken kept saying, he asked me about my breakup and was how are you doing? And I was obviously I'm sad. I was my best friend for 5 years, but I'm okay, blah, blah, blah. And he was have you met my son, Dean? And I just my face turned bright red. And I just laughed, and I was oh my God, why is everyone so on me and Dean getting together? That's so random. He's younger than me. I don't even know him. I literally didn't know him. I just laughed it off and was whatever, that's funny. So then time passes. They decide they want to invite me on this family trip they do every year called Shaver, or I think that was Ken's doing. Dean's dad wanted me to go. He honestly probably plotted on this entire thing. I got put in a group message and was we have a new Shaver invite, and Dean, obviously didn't have his number, texts me on the side and is hey, it's Dean, I heard you're going to Shaver. And I was yeah. Again, having heard the chirping from his sister and his dad, he was if you need help packing, let me know.
And I was like, the fuck? Why would I ask you for help packing? You're a boy and sister's a girl. Like, she's obviously gonna help me packing. But I just was like, okay. And we ended up texting like back and forth for like a couple of days. And then I randomly ran into him out. He was valeting that summer at a bar in Newport and ended up being at a different bar in Newport after his shift, just like waiting for his friend to get off. I was with my friend, decided to stop at this one last place for one more drink. As we're leaving, unbeknownst to me, he said to his friend at the time, oh my God, that girl is so cute or so hot or whatever he said. His friend was like, dude, that's Ryan. It's like one of my brother's friends that I've known for a long time. He was like, oh my God, no way. I've been like talking with her. He didn't recognize me, I guess, because it was like from behind. He yells, Ryan, and I'm drinking. I turn around and I'm like, oh my God, you've been texting, whatever. Again, still not thinking anything of it. I like run and jump on him drinking. He's like, what are you guys doing? And I'm like, oh, we're walking back to Jade's house. And he's like, oh no, let me drive you. So he drives us, we end up like having pizza together, go to the beach, blah, blah, blah. One thing leads to another, and that is the story. Then we decided to keep us a secret for like the next 3 months from my brother because I was scared my brother was gonna be mad. My brother was not mad, he was stoked. He was only mad that I kept it a secret. The lesson here is honesty is the best policy. He was like so stoked. He's like, if anyone's gonna date my sister, I want it to be my best friend. We were both fresh out of relationships, so it took a really long time to like actually start taking each other seriously and like really dating. We were talking for like 5 months by the time that we finally were like, okay, let's be boyfriend and girlfriend. Best decision, best like origin story, and now so much fun together. And I don't feel the need to keep a secret anymore. Clearly, based on my social media, you can tell. I love him so much.
Here's a weird story time for the day. Basically, I work at a tanning salon. I was just at work and I was like cleaning a service or whatever. I was alone up at the front technically, and my coworker was doing something in the back and we hear the door ring. She didn't come up right away, so I decided, I was like, okay, I'll just go up. So then I go up and I see this guy. Looked completely normal. I had not seen him before in my life, so I was like, oh, maybe he's trying to get a membership. Maybe he like, I don't know, maybe he wants more information on the stuff that we have to offer. That was completely far off from what was about to happen. So I walked up and I go, hi, and like, I look young. Like, I look 16. My hair was back in a ponytail like this. And I'm like, hi, and he's like, hey, they're beautiful, love the freckles. And I'm like, thanks? Like, what do you mean? So that caught me off guard. And so then I was like, how are you doing? Because I didn't know what else to say. So I'm like, how are you doing? And he goes, oh, well, gas, or like size. And then he starts going on a rant about how he needs to like make up with his like ex-situationship, wife, girlfriend, whatever the fuck, and how he needs to like be better with his kids. And in my head, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Like, he kept slurring his words. He was also mumbling. So I was like, I can't understand you. Like, what are you saying? So then my coworker finally comes up and she's like right behind me, but she's kind of giving a look like, boy, get the fuck out of our salon right now. And I don't know if he like got the memo or something, but he was like, I come in peace. And I'm like, bitch, I'm not trying to do anything to you. Like, what? What do you mean you come in peace? Do you see? Well, I do think you're a little bit cray-cray because you're probably on crack, but what the fuck? Bro, what the hell? And so I'm just like standing there kind of silent. I'm like, like, what's going on? And then he's like, all right, God bless, like leaves. And I look at my coworker and like we took a minute, we look at each other and I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Because how do you explain that to somebody? How do you explain what just happened to somebody? And I like told my manager when she came in for her shift, I'm like, dude, you will not believe what just happened. This is so fucking weird. And she was like, oh my gosh, that's so fucking weird. Like, that's creepy. Like, what? And she was like, thank goodness you weren't by yourself. And I was like, I know, and I was in the moment, but thank God my other coworker came up just in time to relieve me. Like, I couldn't do this by myself. I'm like, oh my God! Some man is trying to talk to me! He called me beautiful. Mind you, he's probably like 30. Maybe older than that. I have no idea. But oh my gosh, that was just like, that was stressful. I was like, what the hell? What an interesting shift. Mind you, that all happened within the span of 10 minutes. This also happened right before my manager had walked into her shift. It was like the weirdest, like, I don't even know. But yeah, just a word of advisory. If this ever happens to you, tell somebody, because it could be an unsafe situation. Second off, don't do drugs. Don't do drugs! They're bad for you! Here's a weird story time for the day. Basically, I work at a tanning salon. I was just at work and I was like cleaning a service or whatever. I was alone up at the front technically, and my coworker was doing something in the back and we hear the door ring. She didn't come up right away, so I decided, I was like, okay, I'll just go up. So then I go up and I see this guy. Looked completely normal. I had not seen him before in my life, so I was like, oh, maybe he's trying to get a membership. Maybe he, like, I don't know, maybe he wants more information on the stuff that we have to offer. That was completely far off from what was about to happen. So I walked up and I go, hi, and, like, I look young. Like, I look 16. My hair was back in a ponytail like this. And I'm like, hi, and he's like, hey, they're beautiful, love the freckles. And I'm like, thanks? Like, what do you mean? So that caught me off guard. And so then I was like, how are you doing? Because I didn't know what else to say. So I'm like, how are you doing? And he goes, oh, well, gas, or like size. And then he starts going on a rant about how he needs to like make up with his like ex-situationship, wife, girlfriend, whatever the fuck, and how he needs to like be better with his kids. And in my head, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Like, he kept slurring his words. He was also mumbling. So I was like, I can't understand you. Like, what are you saying? So then my coworker finally comes up and she's like right behind me, but she's kind of giving a look like, boy, get the fuck out of our salon right now. And I don't know if he like got the memo or something, but he was like, I come in peace. And I'm like, bitch, I'm not trying to do anything to you. Like, what? What do you mean you come in peace? Do you see? Well, I do think you're a little bit cray-cray because you're probably on crack, but what the fuck? Bro, what the hell? And so I'm just like standing there kind of silent. I'm like, like, what's going on? And then he's like, all right, God bless, like leaves. And I look at my coworker and like we took a minute, we look at each other and I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Because how do you explain that to somebody? How do you explain what just happened to somebody? And I like told my manager when she came in for her shift, I'm like, dude, you will not believe what just happened. This is so fucking weird. And she was like, oh my gosh, that's so fucking weird. Like, that's creepy. Like, what? And she was like, thank goodness you weren't by yourself. And I was like, I know, and I was in the moment, but thank God my other coworker came up just in time to relieve me. Like, I couldn't do this by myself. I'm like, oh my God! Some man is trying to talk to me! He called me beautiful. Mind you, he's probably like 30. Maybe older than that. I have no idea. But, oh my gosh, that was just like, that was stressful. I was like, what the hell? What an interesting shift. Mind you, that all happened within the span of 10 minutes. This also happened right before my manager had walked into her shift. It was like the weirdest, like, I don't even know. But yeah, just a word of advisory. If this ever happens to you, tell somebody, because it could be an unsafe situation. Second off, don't do drugs. Don't do drugs. They're bad for you.
Hi, my sweet angel bedwetters. The rumors are true, my friends. I am back for good. Like, okay, so let's get into things, because I've been getting a lot of DMs saying, why are you back? Okay, I thought you were supposed to be gone for a while. Let's just talk about it and it will make more sense. So I get to the MTC, which is the Missionary Training Center. That's where every missionary goes before they start their mission. And I loved it. My companion was amazing. My district was amazing. My teachers were all perfect. Like, I could not have been in a better situation in the MTC. And at this time, I am just so excited to be in Taiwan. Like, I just can't wait to get out there. But I was also just enjoying my time in the MTC so much. And my companion, like, I'm not joking, sweet angel baby, she will be my best friend for the rest of my life. Like, I absolutely adore her. So after 2 weeks in the MTC, we flew to Taiwan. And then we get to Taiwan and I'm like, wow, our mission presidents are amazing. And I was just like, this is so good. Like, this is so awesome. Thursday night, we got shadows pretty much, which means that we were gonna go for the weekend, just be with a different companionship and see how they did things so that we could kind of get the feel for what we were gonna do. So they split me and my comp up, which was so hard. And then we had this like service thing at our church and it all hit me. And I was like, holy crap. Like, what am I doing? I'm like, okay, it's okay. Like, I'm here for 18 months and I'm going to do this and everything's going to be 100% okay. So that night I get back to my apartment with my 2 new companions and I just immediately start sobbing. Like, uncontrollably sobbing. And also hadn't eaten anything at this point for like 12 hours. I was like, okay, I'll be fine by tomorrow. I need to sleep. I'm jet lagged and I just need some sleep. So I went to bed that night, obviously cried myself to sleep as one does. And then I woke up the next morning and somehow I was still crying from the night before. I'm not really sure how that works, but I wake up and I'm like, ooh, wow, I thought I was gonna magically be better. Then I started feeling really nauseous. So I went into the bathroom and I threw up for like 15 minutes. Like, dead serious, could not get myself to stop throwing up. It was ridiculous. Like, don't know. Anyways, I get some food in me, just like a few bites of granola because my stomach could not hold anything. And they're like, okay, let's go get our day started. So we go out on the town and I'm like, wow, this is awesome. I feel like crap. But I was like, it's okay. Like, everything's gonna be okay. So I just went along with it. And then I got home that night and started sobbing again. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. Come back for part 2. Okay, hey guys, this is part 2 of why I came home for my mission early. So, get home, sobbing, go to sleep, still sobbing. I remember this night, I was showering and just sobbing. Like, actually sobbing, and I'm just like holding onto the sink, looking at myself with like tears streaming down my eyes, and I'm like, I can do this, like, it's gonna be okay, I can do this. That's ridiculous. That's actually insane. If you ever get to that point on your mission, probably just call your mission president and tell him that you need some help. And then I like get myself to calm down a little bit. And then I go lay in my bed to get back to sleep and just sobbing again. And I'm like, wow, I can't do this anymore. So next morning, wake up, start crying immediately again. And I call my mission president. I was like, my anxiety's through the roof. I'm just so sad. Like, I don't know what to do. So they're like, how about you come to dinner tomorrow night? So Sunday night, we went over to their house for dinner. And we were like, come downstairs. We need to talk to you. So I go downstairs with them. And they're like, okay, we got to figure this out. Because you can do this. This is where you're meant to be. Let's give you a blessing. And just show the Lord how dedicated you are. And I was like, deal. Like, that sounds perfect. So we do that. Obviously, sobbing. Couldn't stop. Ever. Never. Then the next morning we have transfers. See my companion obviously start sobbing again because, like, what am I supposed to do? Be happy? I don't know. I get my new companions and they are just so perfect. Like, they are amazing people, genuinely. And my companions before were amazing and my MTC companion amazing. Like, I got very lucky with the people who I was with. I get back to my new apartment and what, guys, guess what do I start doing? Say it out loud. Sobbing on the phone with my family, and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I actually cannot do this anymore. My anxiety is just through the roof. I'm just so sad. I'm like, I simply, to put it plainly, cannot do this anymore. But I'm like, okay, tomorrow's a new day. We're just gonna go. And by this point, I had eaten my first meal after about 4.5 days. Okay, come back for part 3. Okay, hey guys, welcome back to part 3 of why I came home from my mission early. Okay, so I go to sleep Monday night with my new companions in my new apartment, and I wake up and my heart is just beating out of my chest. And I'm like, wow, like this is insane. Like this day I just went through it and I was doing a little better actually. Like I felt like I was actually doing pretty good this day, and I was like, you know what, I think I can do this. Like maybe my mission presidents were right. Maybe I actually am meant to be here. Like maybe I can actually do this. And then I go to sleep and I was fine. I didn't like cry myself to sleep this night, which was the first time in the whole time I've been there. And I was like, great, it's going up from here. And then I woke up the next day and I had a therapy appointment, and that was amazing. It was great. However, my sadness, my anxiety, my everything was just right there, just in my face. I told my therapist, I was like, I want to go home. Like, I would really love it if I could just go home. Then I went to sleep that night. I woke up Thursday morning, and I called my mission president's wife, and I said, I can't do this anymore. I literally cannot do this anymore, and I don't want to be here anymore. And she was like, okay, you know what we're gonna have you do? We're gonna have you call your parents, and you're gonna talk to them, you're gonna come up with a plan, and then you call me back and you tell me your plan. So I'm on the phone with my parents for like an hour, just sobbing. By this point, my pants did not fit anymore because of how much I was not eating. So I was like, okay, I just can't do this anymore. I told my parents straight up, I was like, I'm coming home. Like, I am coming home. I cannot be putting up with this right now. So then my mission presidents and my parents talked for forever, like in the middle of the night for my parents, which was like, I feel so bad about it, but sorry. And yeah, so the next day, again, I'm just super sad, super anxious, and my mission presidents call us and we're like, will you guys come to the mission office? And I was like, oh gosh, here we go. So we go over to the mission office, which is just like a 10-minute train ride from where we were. And they sit me down and they're like, we have been thinking about this, and your parents have been thinking about this, and they're very worried about you, and I know you're worried about yourself, and we've come to the decision that we think it's best if you go home. So what do you think of that? And I was like, yeah, great, perfect idea, love it. So they were like, okay, we're gonna figure it out, and everything's gonna be okay. This is the end of part 3, so come back for part 4. Welcome back to part 4 of why I came home from my mission early. Holy Moses, I'm so sorry this is so long, but a lot goes into it. The second they tell me that I'm going home, I'm just like, whew, like I am okay. Like 1,000 pounds was lifted off of my chest, and I was like, this is what's meant to happen. So we have a meeting with my stake president and with my parents and with the mission presidents, and we're like, yep, this is what's happening. We're gonna send her home, and it's her choice what she does with that. So of course, my choice is to start a service mission. So that's what I told them. So we had more meetings about it, and we've got everything figured out. And I got my flight plans Saturday night, flew out Monday morning. I got home, and I'm still a missionary, and I'm gonna be doing a service mission, and I'm just gonna be doing stuff around the Utah Valley, helping people out, and still, I think I'm gonna work a bit with the Mandarin branch, which will be just amazing. And just still serving the mission that I know that I'm meant to serve, just in a different way. And I'm really excited about it. And I know for a fact that this is God's plan for me. And I know that everything that I went through when I was in Taiwan was meant to happen for some reason. And I don't know it yet, but I know that it happened for a reason. And I cannot wait for this new chapter in my life. I cannot wait. It is going to be absolutely amazing. If you have any questions, feel more than free to ask. I will literally answer anything you have to say. And I just love you guys so much. And I know that God loves you guys so much. And I can't wait to keep posting and seeing you guys all the time. And I just love my sweet little bedwetters with my whole heart. I love you guys. Bye.
You know how some people will use the expression, oh my god, it sounds like my neighbor is tap dancing to explain that their neighbor is loud as shit? Well, sometimes it's not an expression.
Let me tell you about the time that I was 5 years old. I was essayed
My parents reported it and nothing happened. All right, let's set the scene. It's 2003. I'm 5 years old and my mother is going to the hospital to deliver my twin sisters. She and my dad both go to the hospital and they ask my grandfather to watch me and take care of me. My dad is back and forth from the hospital to home, the hospital to home, and my dad was home when it happened, I think, but he was, getting things together, grabbing things for my mom, obviously checking in with me, making sure everything was good. My dad is literally incredible. I'm gonna try and tell you guys like bits and pieces of what I remember because it's still such a blur. I don't remember everything. So my grandpa asks me if I want to go downstairs to the basement and he wants to show me how to play a game. I go downstairs with him to our basement and no, I was never, but obviously other things happened. We went and we visited my mom in the hospital. Things were normal. I didn't really understood what happened. Obviously, I was five. My parents were so happy that my sisters were born. They were so sweet with me. They thought that I was just acting different because I just became a big sister. It's an emotional thing. It was honestly the perfect crime. It was the perfect time for him to do something. He knew that my parents were going to be distracted. And I was already an extremely sensitive child, so it wasn't not normal for me to get upset, run off, be sad, cry. It was kind of like a normal thing for me. That's also what kind of made it like, oh, Kaylee's just, being upset. She's just doing her normal thing. I probably wouldn't have suspected anything either. A few weeks go by and I'm living life and my aunt comes over to me and she starts to tickle my stomach. I literally have a nervous breakdown. I literally freak out. My mom, who is a wonderful mom, she comes over to me and she's like, Kaylee, are you okay? What's going on? If there's anybody that is making you uncomfortable or has made you uncomfortable, you can tell me, because me freaking out about being tickled was not normal for me. I was such a happy child. I loved playing, being around my family, playing with my friends, playing with anybody that would want to play with me. So I told my mom, I said, Grandpa makes me uncomfortable. My mom immediately called a place and reported exactly what I said because I told her everything. She asked me what happened and I told her. So we went and I got one of those SANE interviews. They examined me from head to toe, asked me the differences between truths and a lie. I knew the difference. They asked me what happened or if there's anybody that makes me uncomfortable. And there's a lot in here that I said that I'll eventually go over into more depth. But right now I'm just trying to give a more quick rundown. So in my 5-year-old words, I said everything that I could have said. I said basically everything that happened. So after everything was said and done, after seeing my grandfather's extensive criminal history, which was over a page long, they determined that my case was unsupported because I didn't come out and straight out say that I was like, you think that I would know how to say that at 5? So they let him go. And my parents, being the amazing parents that they are, cut all ties with him, immediately stopped talking to him, and I never saw him again. The system is so broken. This is why people don't come out and say what happened to them. I did everything I could for myself at age 5. I advocated for myself. My parents advocated for me, but the system failed me. I'm sharing my story so that hopefully I can help somebody else. I'm also sharing my story so I can hopefully get justice for what happened to me. Although I can't get justice against him personally because he passed years ago, Hopefully I can get justice against the place that let him go. And every single like, follow, share will help me be able to get to that point. The amount of love and support that I have felt these past few days from people in the comment section sharing their stories, being so open. And I'm so thankful for this community.
Maybe this makes me a bad person, but I don't care. I don't want my funeral to be a celebration of my life. I don't want people to be happy, drinking, having a good time. I'm gone.
Filing a police report today on a girl who I've been friends with and coworkers with since 2019, and this is the story time. So I met this girl, we're gonna call her Rachel. I met Rachel when I was 22 and she was in her late 20s. We were both working at a corporate company in tech sales, and we worked there together for like 4 years. And during this time, I honestly looked up to Rachel. I thought she was a badass. She was super successful in her sales career, and we were friends during this time. After like 4 years, she got fired or quit. She left the company while I continued to work there for an additional year. And during that time, Rachel did not get a new job. She wasn't working and she blew through all of her savings and whatnot. After like a year and a half of Rachel being unemployed, I ended up leaving that company that we both originally worked at together, and I got a new job. And Rachel was still looking for a job after a year and a half or 2 years, I guess. And she was in a bad place financially. So after working at my new company for like 3 months, I referred Rachel and she got hired. We were also doing tech sales here. Pretty early on, I could tell that Rachel did not want to work. She was offline on Teams all day. People at the company started to ask me questions. And honestly, it was really embarrassing because I referred you, I endorsed you as a good salesperson, as a good employee, and she just completely blew it off and she embarrassed me. So after like 8 months at that company, she got fired. And after a year of me working there, I wanted to go to a new job. So I got a new job as well. I'm working at my new company, and I had told myself that I was never going to refer another friend after Rachel embarrassed me at that last job. But what do? I refer Rachel to a second company now. Why? Because we were in the same industry as our first original sales job together, where she was super successful. So I figured, you've done this before. You were very good at it at the first company. Why not refer you? And again, she's my friend. So why wouldn't I refer my friend? She moves to my city to take this job, and she needed a credit card because she had maxed out all of her cards, but she had to go to a corporate training and she needed a credit card for a refundable security deposit. So I gave her my Southwest Chase credit card for her refundable hotel security deposit to go to corporate training at the second job that I've now referred her into. But that month, she not only uses my Southwest card for the hotel security deposit, she also uses it for her new apartment security deposit. She went to Home Goods, she went to Total Wine, she was ordering things on Instacart. So she took the liberty in using my card when originally it was only ever supposed to be for the hotel deposit. When I sent her my screenshot of my banking statement after like that month, she sent me the money completely immediately. And so I was like, okay, well, you know, moving is expensive. She's my friend. But she could have just asked me and I would have said yes. Like, if you need something and you're my friend, I'm going to say yes. So she returned my physical card to me, but over the next 6 months, Rachel was still using my Southwest card for things like Uber Eats and Instacart because she had linked them to her accounts. And every time I would go in to see my card and it would have $300, $200, $400 balance. And this is a card that I only use for my Southwest flights. So if I don't buy a flight, I'm not checking that card. So I wasn't actively monitoring it, which is my fault. But why are you still using my card? And every time I would say, hey, Rachel, my card has a balance on it, and she would send me the money. I think she sent me all of the money, but this happened like 4 to 5 times. And every time I was like, again, like I couldn't believe it. I don't know why I didn't just cancel my entire card after the first time. That's a shame on me, but she was my friend. I wouldn't think that a friend would continue to do that. Okay, so now we're at the second company. She's moved to my city. This is an example of things that she was just consistently doing that took advantage of me and that just showed me that she wasn't a friend. I used to be blonde and I had all of these extensions, these blonde extensions that were brand new, worth like thousands of dollars. And she was still blonde. So she said, can I just give you like $100 out of each of my paychecks? And like she was going to pay me a small amount. So I gave her these blonde extensions. Of course, she never paid me anything, but whatever, she's my friend. She goes to my hairdresser, who I've known for years, and she's installing my extensions in her head, maybe paying with my credit card. And she even has the audacity to tell my hairdresser, Marissa just needs to grow up a bit. Like, what? This is the second job that I got you. You moved to my city. You're installing my hair. You're using my credit card. Like, I'm helping you with all these things because I'm your friend, and you're going to talk bad about me to my hairdresser? Like, obviously they're going to tell me. Anyways, so after like 6 months, the charges on my card stopped. Eventually, she gets fired from this third company that we've worked together at. And I'm still working there. And during the last like 6 months of the time that she was there, I just was distancing myself more and more because I was just seeing that I'm being taken advantage of. This isn't a friendship. And I just felt like this person doesn't respect me. So by the time she left the company and got a new job, her and I were not on speaking terms. And I was fine with that. I didn't want to be her friend really anyways. And that was the end of the friendship. Like, this was like 7 months ago that she left the company. And in November, I see a charge on my Southwest card, and it's for Turo travel, and it's for $1,000. And I looked at it and I was like, I wonder what that is. I'll look into it in a second. So like 2 weeks later, I look back into it, but the charge for $1,000 had been refunded from Turo. So I honestly didn't do any investigating. I thought maybe it was from all of my traveling from the summer. I didn't really think much into it because it was fully refunded. So I was in November, and then this February and March, there's more additional charges from Turo on my Southwest card. There's like a $300 charge, a $500 charge, a $90 charge, a $200 charge. And I'm like, what is Turo? So I look it up, and it's a car rental company, and I've never rented a car. And I emailed their customer service, and I sent them the dates of the transactions and the amounts, and they responded, and they said, this account belongs to Rachel. So I haven't talked to you in 7 months. I gave you my Southwest card a year and a half ago for a hotel refundable security deposit for a corporate training at the second job that I got you, and you're still using my credit card. Again, shame on me for not canceling the card immediately, but I'm just shocked that someone would do this, the audacity. So yesterday I sent her a text and I called her 3 times. I think she's blocked me. Like, do you think I'm just going to pay the $1,500 for your rental car? Because I'm not. And it's not about the money. I felt like throughout our friendship, I tried to do so much for her when she always was like in a victim mindset, needing things, like down on her luck, like not doing well. So I really tried to be a very good friend. I would do anything for my friends. You're going to block me? Like, do you want me to pay for your rental car? I haven't talked to you in 7 months. Like, this is why I feel like I have no choice but to file a police report. And I looked it up, and in Texas, it's a felony crime to use someone's credit card. So that's what happened.